So, you can see how we have been starting with Himmeli and with the daycare center, which for me, as somebody who has been growing up so much with architecture, is also for sure, I mean, Pietilän, it's one of the best architects you can find, and it's beautiful in its design, and also the kindergarten next to it. So this was something very specific. And also here having the youth center, which are actually, I have to say, is, let's go on, is quite very impressive that you have in a rather small place like Sampola, you have such a quality actually of service centers. That's not existing everywhere. You have to be also very much aware of that. What I'm doing here is something that you have probably never seen, and it's the first time in your life, and it's something, how to say, a bit different. I'm following, need a bit bring that in. It's quite of very sophisticated now. Sorry for that. But I'm following a principle that is called the principle of the stranger. That means I am the stranger. I try to make it in very easy words. I am the stranger, and I'm talking about your communities as a stranger who has the first time being there. I'm here in Pori for 3 weeks, but I was locked in this place and in the city center. So I was Monday, the very first time in Sampola at the radio station. I have been at the radio station once in a night for some opening of an exhibition, but that's pretty much it. And Väinölä. So these are my first walking steps and my photographic impressions, and now you have to think I'm dealing with this kind of projects for more than 20 years. So I see those places all over Europe, all the time, again and again. And this is what I'm focusing on. And the first things for sure that I find, like with Himmeli and with the kindergarten and the youth center a bit further on, is like, oh wow, this is not like a 50,000 inhabitant suburb. Definitely not. But I have so many different qualities of service, social and cultural service industry, so-called industry, that's actually ironic, that I already can see that there is an opportunity of something. There is an opportunity to act and to do something. But then, okay, yeah, I couldn't skip this, the strange guys with whom I was running around. The next thing that I'm meeting, and that's quite some Finnish syndrome also, I have to say that, I'm meeting fences. And fences, and fences, and fences. Urban diving has its name. Actually, I have been together with a colleague in Riga, Margarita Voloshina. We both have been like designing the idea of urban diving. In fact, it is more or less snorkeling. Diving means you go really deep and for long, yeah, in the water. Snorkeling is something you do on the surface. So actually, I'm snorkeling. I'm trying to get through this community to see the places and all of this. Actually, to see the places. That's again a definition from an artist from Denmark. Just recently discovered why we talk about places and why we talk about spaces when we simply make it places. And then it's like one word. It's far easier. That's what you need arts for, to make the things easier. So when I'm snorkeling through urbanity and communities and the physical spaces, and I see constantly fences, but not just ordinary fences, but real, you know, massive structures. This is like, you cannot break that in. That's something that police can use in a stadium. Okay, football stadium is not really the Finnish thing. Like in Germany, you have this like 2 times higher in a football stadium. Yeah? All the fans are not getting mad and so on, because we get mad. Hockey fans are not getting mad. They are very humble and friendly. This is not okay. Whatever you say, whatever security and safety reason you have, it's not okay. Fences are not okay. Especially in a Finnish culture, because the culture of the Nordic countries have never been fences, never, ever. Your deep-rooted, partly 1,000 years old culture didn't know fences at all. you usually tried to be not really together, yeah. The best Finn is the neighbor 100 kilometers away. I know this joke, but you had been living without a border. So the more you find those fences, the more you get this feeling of something is isolated. Okay, this is a construction fence. I know that. And nevertheless, I mean, it was an impression again. Yeah, you see fence and fence and fence and fence. And then for sure the picture was also very much taken because of this beautiful piece of art directly from the other side as well. As I have been like understanding, it was just a bit demolished, like by accident, I hope, like some kind of whatever construction machine. I mean, there are two of them. Was probably kicking against it. Definitely was a little bit, yeah. This is just as also to recognize that you have really like some real pieces there in the neighborhood, not only architectural pieces, like Pietilän architecture, but also this. And then you have something like this. This is really, maybe for a Finnish eye, nothing special, but when you come from Central Europe, and you see that is art. This is real art. I mean, when you look on the like balance of everything, but everything is concrete with a tiny little bit of nature here. It's very interesting how people have been, that's exactly across from the school, how people have been like realizing and changing their environment. That's obviously really like inhabitants there. People living in their houses have been doing something outside. There were also more pieces, I have many more pictures, how they built their own outside place there and so on. Small barbecue place. It's just like really something in all these asphalt and concrete and with a tiny piece of green, this kind of design, which speaks about the inhabitants a lot. It tells many stories. And then for sure the school, I don't know, are you actually working there? Or because I didn't understand your introduction in the beginning. Okay, what is your position? What are you doing? Okay. Interesting. Because it's a...
Not in the part of the special school, but
the regular school. Mm-hmm. Regular school, just the regular school. Yeah. I know, you have both there, right? Yeah, that's what I've learned from actually Nilo and Ville. I have to say, whatever is about all of the architecture, and you said people are coming there and so on, a very direct, I mean, I'm also a social pedagogue. I'm actually trained in these things, and then I'm having this kind of architectural look on the things and the planning look. When I see that in its aesthetics, on the first hand, I like a lot how they were dealing with it, and I find it really partly actually beautiful for modern times, modern architecture, really modern, just finished. But the realization and all of that, how it is in this space, and then again, newly built, and again, the emphasis only on the parking places and nothing else. That is quite shocking. I got really like, this openness was, it was too much for me. It was not anymore okay. I'm missing something here, a minimum a little bit of landscape architecture, landscape design, which in Sampola obviously has been completely forgotten, unfortunately. I mean, in old times they did it. You find it still in between the blocks, the older blocks there. You find in the yards, you find really some green design there. It's like 30 years ago, people were really thinking about that. Not actually today. And I'm telling all that for sure to provoke also, because this is my main job. I have to provoke a little bit that we really try to see what is really happening there. So we went inside, not in the school, that was not possible because it was locked, but we went inside the library and the community center, the tiny, small community place there. which for sure everything is very fresh and very clean and very, very clean and modern, which community places don't ask for modern and for fresh. They ask for cozy. Something like this here. This is actually a perfect community space, and we have done it just within 1 week. With old furniture somewhere from the city council, taken from that warehouse, from the other warehouse, just fixed together. That was what was this color? Light greenish, yeah, limeish, very nice, very nice, limeish. In the library, this huge wall, and I was standing saying, my goodness, this man has to be really, I say that honestly, executed, or woman, whoever did that, this color is not okay. It bites me, it hurts me. And I think it hurts nearly everybody, to be honest. So, yeah, something was a bit too much. And then, I mean,
Jonas,
yeah.
It hurt me a lot for the first time, but for the second and third it was pretty okay.
Yeah, that's probably then the point, how to deal with it. I have to go there back and sit there and read a book or a newspaper or something and then get used to it. But okay, one of the last, or the pretty last picture will be a different community space. And yeah, and then for sure, I mean, this is all my kind of heart that was so much like bumping while we were running around there. The school is not for me, I mean, the whole thing is necessary and very important, and you have to build also something new and modern and fresh and so on. But the whole former shopping center, the old one, which I for sure don't know anymore, only in one picture I've seen it. Yeah, whatever people think about this old shopping center, but what the main message I've learned was there were two kind of cafe, bar, restaurants, and that were the informal places where people met. Not only shopping, but these were the places where the people meet. And now, there's nothing. And that is a sad story. You take something away from people. You actually also take the lengthening, because then around the corner directly is also Himmeli and is the kindergarten and so on. So there was kind of a very clever urban planning-wise designed pathway through the community in old times. This is completely broken now. So that what actually has been designed quite well once upon a time, maybe didn't look so good anymore, maybe needs a little bit of refreshment, but I don't know what will come. I mean, I have heard something similar should come again, but I mean, those places, those informal meeting places, specifically for elderly people also, these are things you cannot build like from today to tomorrow. They are growing over 10, 20, 30 years. They need time. So it's always a big question, should we take that away? So with a smaller or longer stop at the K market, the new K market that you have now, which looks really very, very new, very fresh. It was kind of, yeah, a little bit strange. I think that was the most modern shop I've seen for a long time, or grocery shop. And then suddenly there's like a cut, the street, and the green, and we are stepping in the park. I actually come back to that later. So, was it you talking about the nature, which is so close? That is very true. You really walk, what, maximum 5 minutes, and you are like out in nature. Whatever is nature, because let's look on the map shortly here. I mean, this is the park. But directly behind the park is not very environmentally friendly industries. So it's also a nature which is kind of not the nature, not you're out really on the fields in the real countryside. You have a huge park. This park being, since the industries are already a bit older, maybe also developed on some whatever old wasteland differently used. It looks like actually partly it is old wasteland, brownfields, because this kind of growing of birches is very much connected very often with that. Nevertheless, it's beautiful, and you really have this like, you can breathe, and That's just like some impressions and views. I loved that there was like a football gate standing in the middle of nowhere. And then you come to this. And yeah, I think this is probably, without any overwhelmingly like super positive message, the most beautiful thing that you can find in the whole city of Pori, to my mind. And the history behind and all what I've learned from Nille and Ville and Antti is it's super interesting. Then for sure now, I mean, since this is documented, I want to say it also, like really that there is for sure a very important issue. So far there's also, as far as understood, some vintage car association hosting their cars there. I fully understand and respect them and I find it very nice, but I'm sorry to say with a clear message, they need to get out. This space cannot be used by cars. This is violating cultural heritage, it's violating architectural heritage, and it's actually hindering a community space to come. Because the ideas that are existing to use this as an artist workplace, as an open cafe, as something for people to actually come in, sit down, in a way that it's not too clean, not super clean all the time, like we had that before. Here, there could be a wonderful space for people really finding again the informality. The informality that is probably not so much in the center of Sampola existing, but just nearby. It's still, say, like not for everybody, but for many people walkable. This was just shot through the window, otherwise we couldn't find anything. This is a bit coming along with that. I mean, it looks as it's a nice picture, but I mean, to be very honest, these are garages and they don't need to be around there. Just my feeling. Impressions of the building. And what I personally like so much about all of this is how also exactly in such a cultural program and how the people around Antti have been developing it, this is again creating the informality. This is giving the opportunity to sit down. I mean, it's October. Nevertheless, it was still okay for us to take a coffee inside from the office and sit down there for half an hour. It was not too cold. Also now, you can still do it. So just think about the potentials if that would be actually a running space as a community space. Yeah, I don't know if you have ever been inside in the upper. This is like the, yeah, concert room or whatever, event room that can be used for project space, multiple purposes. I mean, you can do meetings there. You can do things like this here, what we are doing now. Yeah, that's already again out. That's for sure the classic Finnish thing. Yeah. For me, I find it really important that we have this. Why I took this picture also, that we have an entry. We need to get. I mean, there we get inside, but we need to get in the building in order to use it. And I think it's really important that also we have talked about that a lot. That the city council actually says, okay, we really need to get active. We need to close. In terms of like other associations being inside, we need to find different places for them and then really give the cultural project and the community space project the opportunity to start working. Besides, looking through Sampola, Väinölä is different, but looking through Sampola, I don't find many places which actually bring you really like this kind of very interesting aspect of being taken to it. And you want to go there. If you know something is happening there, I guess it would be used by many people. These are just like very important impressions because I find it really interesting how the artists have been using the park also that is around and how there is the sculptural exhibitions and everything what is happening there. This is really impressive. And yeah, I mean, a bus station in in the wood is for me still, I forgot my coffee pot there. That shouldn't be photographed. Okay. Yeah, it really triggered me. So this is also a community space. Now we have left the park and we are in Väinölä. And Väinölä has this community space. And I have to be very honest, this is inviting. Because this is normality. This is how people live normally. And it gives you the feeling of there could be somebody like Nilo coming around, but dressed as a, I don't know, as a classic housewife. And like bringing you the kind of, I don't know, small pulla or something and a coffee. And I think that is something that people need. They need a comfort zone that is informal, that gives them the opportunity to actually do something with each other without any kind of pressure. Whether the pressure is commerce, like shopping, or the pressure is modernity, that it is too modern, too fresh, too new, too gloomy, and like, it doesn't really feel like I want to sit down and be like, ugly person, let's discuss some real shit. Especially when you next door then can do something nice like this. So two silly boys who are starting to play with the leaves and the Urbact and getting really mad. I think this should be the title picture really of the Urbact project. Especially you both are hidden. It's not you see Urbact and leaves, beautiful weather, and the environment of Väinölä. And then for sure there is still also something like this. And in the very end, they still have a bar. It functions. You can sit down and we had like it was, I don't know, 6 o'clock and we still had a beer and talk about all of the things that we have seen. Now I have to go back. Because in this talk, we talked about this. So I took this picture while we were on the way. And since I was lacking a pencil and paper, I was simply in my phone drawing them and do it on the map. What we want in the moment in this project is, as demonstrated there, is this swing, right? We have Sampola, we have Väinölä, and we have the park. And the park and the community spot in the park, the old radio station, offers this swinging possibility to swing in between the both communities. Now, what was very, very visible in our urban diving period that we have done there on Monday, this 5 hours or something, it was ostentative, visible for me that the functionality of Väinölä, and I mean the social and cultural functionality, is far more advanced than that of Sampola. Sampola, to my mind, that's what I also said, Nilo, shouldn't in the very beginning deal just like with like communities exchange or something. It should first of all like deal with itself inside. Because as I told you in the presentation before, it doesn't feel very much clear than all of these kind of fragments which are like lying around Sampola and in the community. Is it the nursery home, the kindergarten, the new school, the empty space that is not defined? Probably something will be there, but when it will be there and how. The central park, as you define it. Okay, Champs-Élysées fits kind of better. Do you know actually the function of the Champs-Élysées? Because you were saying like the drinkers nowadays are there. You know what the Champs-Élysées, like after darkness, what it is having for function? Have you heard about that? Okay, it's the main drug selling place of... Okay. On the Champs-Élysées after darkness, you actually have mainly the drug selling and mainly prostitution. This is what the Champs-Élysées is in the night. Over day, it's something else. Yeah? It's the boulevard. So my mind, especially, but it got too dark, I couldn't take pictures anymore. When we were running through Väinölä, my goodness, what a historic setting also. And then there's the church, then there is like across there's still an air kiosk, you know. You have something in the petrol station, something is going on. Something is actually there. There is still something, not only one core, even several cores. Then you have the old fire station, there is a motorcycle club, and next to it is I guess, the old school, an old like cultural house probably from like early Finnish times. Beautiful wooden building, huge wooden building. So, I mean, there are several sub-centers within this one small suburb, which in itself is not very big. And even in this so-called Soviet-style architectural piece that we were falling in, you have the bar, you have the community center, you have actually still a small school there. So things are really like kind of having a cohesive character. Things are coming together and working with each other. While Sampola, the far bigger district, in that scale, like also with the scale of the buildings, is lacking kind of some real core. It's not there. Therefore, my analysis, very spontaneous, very fresh, was this first, like, finding some attitude how to deal with inside also reflecting what you have been talking about today. And here, actually, the linkage between the connectivity between Väinölä itself and the park and the radio station is kind of far more obvious, far more direct. So it's relatively easy to deal with this whole thing. Nevertheless, Sampola is the place that needs this community center in the park. It's not Väinölä that needs it. It's actually Sampola that needs it. This would be the summarize.